Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, please subscribe. I'd really love that. If you're returning, how you doing? Well, I'm going to be doing a video today because I know that I have a lot of people in my community who are landlords and business owners, okay? And there are some videos that have gone viral, and it's because of squatters' rights. And I know that in the state of Florida, okay, where this actually took place, squatters actually have more rights than homeowners do. And that's pretty vile, if you ask me. Say me and my husband, we go on vacation, okay, and people realize that the house is empty. People can actually come in here, change the locks, and live here, and there's not a darn thing that we can do about it, because why? It's a civil matter. We would actually have to try and get them evicted, and that can take up to like 2 years to do. Okay, so this is an ongoing problem, but not just here in Florida. It's a countrywide problem. All right, so vile squatters actually took over a Jacksonville, Florida landlord's property for almost 6 weeks, and they absolutely destroyed her home. Destroyed it. It was once beautiful, and I mean beautiful, gorgeous, okay? And squatting, if you're not aware of, squatting is the action of occupying an abandoned or an unoccupied area of land or a building, usually residential, and the squatter does not own or rent or otherwise have lawful permission to use the properties, okay? Now, these women who squatted in this home also had 15 pit bulls in this home. So they caused $38,000 worth of damage while squatting in this house for 6 weeks. I have pictures and video as well. So here are the pictures, just so you can see, okay? Now, when the homeowner, her name is Patty, when she confronted these women several times to convince them to leave, they responded by shoving her out of her own home and threatening to bust her phone, her cell phone, if she called anyone, including the police. And the women also taunted her by saying that she could not legally do anything despite the fact that they were occupying her home. They said, "It doesn't matter. We don't have to leave unless the police come and tell us to do so. You do not have any right to be in this house at all. You just don't." The women were finally evicted on April 11th. But Patty relived horrifying details regarding what squatters did to her property in an interview. And it's just terrifying what she actually went to, and all of the money that she has to put back into that home just to make it livable again. I mean, she also revealed that several states, including Florida, do more to protect the rights of squatters than the individuals who actually own the property. And any attempts to remove these squatters would have landed her in jail. So she's actually trying to get Governor Ron DeSantis to listen to her. Will it happen? I don't know. So here's some video to show what's going on.
Imagine putting a lot of effort and money into fixing up this house and putting it on the market. Beautifully rehabbed home that is move-in ready, says the listing for the 3-bedroom home in Jacksonville, Florida. Then, great news, you get an offer. But owner Patty Peoples never expected what happened next.
I own the house.
Over the weeks that followed, Peoples says she and her business partner had several confrontations with the women, who claimed they had a right to be there because they had a lease.
I'm not touching you, Mom.
You are touching me.
And this lady is touching me.
We're blocking you from coming in the house.
You are.
Police were called to sort through the mess.
He told me that, in fact, he couldn't do a thing, that this was a civil matter, and that I needed to go through a formal eviction process.
It took weeks before a court ordered the local sheriff to remove all persons from the property and return possession to the rightful owners.
A notice of that they had to vacate the property in 24 hours was posted, and in that 24 hours, they disappeared into the night.
And this is what she found when she got back in the house.
Oh my God.
Holes in the walls, rooms trashed. All, she says, acts of vengeance for kicking out the squatters. Peoples puts the damage at almost $38,000.
Leaving a house vacant in today's market, no matter where you live in the United States, is opening yourself up for squatters.
Get off our property.
This is your property. This is called public property.
A spat on the sidewalk.
This is public.
Record that.
All right, I dare you.
You think I'm scared? You think I won't?
Turning into threats.
To protect my house, I'm finna bear arms.
But it's not her house. It belongs to Patty Peoples and Don Tura.
Do you have a gun?
To protect my house, I'm finna bear arms.
Do you have a gun? Do you have a gun?
Yeah, in my pants.
It's insane. Absolutely insane.
Tura says she and her business partner were about to sell the rental property when squatters made themselves at home.
So your first inclination is, this is illegal, the police will remove them.
But that's not what happened. These women had been living there all month.
Because according to my lease, me and my girlfriend owns the house. So I don't know what you need to take up with the police, whatever the case may be.
I own the house.
She told Jacksonville police they had signed a lease with a man named Christopher, but could no longer get in touch with him. They claimed he had listed the house for rent on Zillow, but Zillow shows no such rental listing around the time they moved in, and JSO could find no trace of Christopher. The officer reported the women turned over a copy of a lease and a deposit receipt, meaning the case needed to travel through civil court to determine who is in charge of the property.
We were shocked to learn and start reading about all the squatter rights in Florida, that they have more rights than the landlord.
After more than 3 weeks, the court determined Tura and Peoples are the owners and ordered the occupants out.
Frustrated, I'd say, is probably the state that we're in most of the time because everything's moving so slowly.
While one of the people staying here claimed today this is her house,
To protect my house, I'm finna bear arms.
another woman who we're not identifying because she says she's not involved seemed to acknowledge the court's order to vacate.
The people already did what they did. They just ain't got out here to put the notice on the door. You being stupid for nothing.
The owners say they've spent close to $5,000 in legal fees to get to this point, and they're anxious to check out any damage. They're planning to relist the house and invest in a high-security deadbolt. One of the women staying in the house now was also listed as a victim in the exact same kind of rental scam back in December when she was also found living in another nearby house without the owner's knowledge. So far, no charges have been filed in either case.
So how did they get into her home? Well, they broke in. They drilled out the deadbolt, they entered the home, and they replaced the deadbolt with a new deadbolt that only they had the key to. And that right there is when Patty lost control. So they broke into her property, took it over, and the police didn't say they were going to let her back into her own home. These squatters know the law better than most attorneys do, and they use it to their advantage, and the police are absolutely hamstrung. The police have no right to remove these squatters and treat them as criminals. They simply throw up their hands and say, you need to go through the civil court system and evict them. Well, how long does that take? 30 days? 6 months? 2 years? It all depends on the court docket and how long and how many evictions there are. This is a nationwide problem. And if you try to take care of this yourself by like bringing like, like male relatives, like, big guys with you, to get them out, you're the bad guy here. You would be in jail. You can't turn off the electricity. You can't turn off the water. You are prevented from doing that. So not only did these people steal a home to live in for a period of time, but they lived in relative comfort with a washer and dryer, which they stole, by the way, a fully stocked kitchen with all brand new appliances, heat, air conditioning, water. Are the politicians answering to this, saying it's time to change the laws? No. You would think that Governor Ron DeSantis would focus on property rights. But instead of focusing on Disney, he should be focusing on this critical issue that's affecting almost every community in the state of Florida. Property rights in this state are absurd, just like they are absurd in every state in this country. One expert attorney told Fox News last month that the problem is a nationwide epidemic and that any homeowner can become a victim of this. So just remember, if you dare to go on vacation, you could be a victim of squatting. I think this is a fairly big problem, and I think it's pretty hard to avoid. And it's really, really sad if you think about it. So just be careful. Know your surroundings at all times. Be aware of everything. If you go on vacation, let family members, let friends know, let your neighbors know so they can keep an eye on everything. All right, guys, I'm out of here. I'll see you in the next one, okay? You stay safe, you stay positive, you keep prepping, and as always, fear less.